Alright boys, it's freaking leg day today. We're gonna start off with the adductor and go stupid heavy. I'm gonna try to do 3 extra plates for as many reps as I can. I've been seeing some pretty hefty adductor gains lately, so if you're trying to get some big meaty adductors,
big meaty claws,
then you gotta do this exercise. I like to go heavy, real stupid, brutal heavy.
I always believe in training hard. Real stupid, brutal hard.
All memeing aside, I know this machine can seem scary and there's a lot of hysteria around this machine because, oh, you're gonna hurt yourself, you're gonna injure your groin, whatever. But the reality is the only reason injuries happen is either A, a freak accident, or B, your body wasn't ready to do what you tried to put it through. So as long as you properly train and you take the time it requires to actually adapt your muscles, your body will not allow you to lift more than you can handle as long as your form is consistent and safe. Jeez, that was heavy.
How much weight is that?
Whatever, 295 plus 135, and then whatever that is on the top.
405?
Dang.
Oh, no, of course. 430, just the plates. What's that block weight? 5?
Make sure it doesn't fall.
This does not feel straight.
Oh, is there something you guys need to adjust?
No,
You good?
he adjusted already.
Oh. Now, I normally never do a second set for this because I was able to progressively overload off of one, but I noticed I'm actually getting weaker on this movement lately, and I kind of don't like that, so I figured maybe I'd switch something up. I'm putting this movement first in the workout, and I'm adding another set. We'll see what happens. I just may get adductors like Keon Pearson. Stiff leg deadlifts today. Going for a little more hamstring work than usual. I don't have any hinges in my program, or at least now I do, but I used to not have any. Would not recommend it, because then all of a sudden you realize that your spinal erectors, low back, glutes, all that starts to weaken. So have some hinges in your program, bro. Let's go. About to be like Eddie Hall. Alright, so I got a bad case of the ego lifting syndrome. I did 3 plates here and it moved legitimately like butter. Like it actually felt really good and easy to keep my form. And then I made a mistake. So I am lowering the weight a little bit from last week. Last week I had an extra...
Now let me be clear.
30 pounds on. What I'm trying to do today is just focus on the form, get a nice deep stretch, as Dr. Mike would say. Dr. Mike.
The deep stretch.
That's really it. Just power the weight through. Just got 2 10s on each side instead of 2 25s. And there goes mistake number 1. Holy crap. It felt insanely uncomfortable. I don't know why I pushed through it, but the way I braced my core was really off. Like, just something was weird and I tweaked something. To add to what I was saying earlier about injuries and, tweaks and whatnot, you always can see them coming and you can always expect when they're happening in the gym specifically. You know when you're going for something you shouldn't be going for. And with that said, I could tell that I was doing something wrong and I pushed through it anyway. Don't be like me. All right, boys, believe it or not, I do calf raises. I don't skip them. We get the full stack plus 4 extra little weights. Anyway, let's go. I get a better angle. I like how I said I'm getting a better angle and then proceeded to literally give you a worse angle. Please forgive me for that. My calves do look a little bit more noticeable up close. They look like they exist, which is cool. That's a first. All memeing aside, my calves have genuinely grown so much from training them in a more lengthened position. I'm not going to say stretch because I don't want a certain doctor to appear in my video. But yeah, when you train your calves in the lengthened position, they actually have the best leverage in that position to produce force, and you can make way better gains that way. These shoes are so awkward, man. They have a flat sole, so they're slipping like a ton, which is kind of annoying. Anyway, we're gonna go over to... yeah, we're going to leg extensions. Ugh. 240 pounds single leg, and I also want to get maybe 5 reps.
5 more!
I'll be honest, boys, leg extensions are one of those things that I'm kind of getting bored with. I've been doing them for over a year at this point, pretty much exclusively. No squats, no leg press, and some of you might say, why aren't you doing squats or leg press? It's because I've never been able to squat my entire life because of a low back issue. I theorized that it was due to imbalances, and I actually think it's better now. Just gotta test the waters at some point. The injury taught me how to work around issues in the gym and actually figure out how to get big despite having those issues. So definitely happy with where it brought me, but glad it's gone. Part of fixing imbalances, which create a lot of joint issues, is doing unilateral stuff like I am right here. Hence why I'm getting bored of this. I knew there was a giant imbalance between both of my legs that needed to be corrected. Every time I look at the TV here, I see the most out-of-pocket thing every single time.
Thanks.
Catches me off guard. 5 pounds more than last time.
Train harder than last time.
Dude, these were way harder than I expected them to be. I know stiff-legged deadlifts target the hamstrings a ton, but I only did 1 set, and I thought I would still have decent amount of energy to hit a PR, but I guess not. I always preach not losing strength on the cut and making sure you try to even get stronger on the cut, but it's not always practical whenever you're switching the order of exercises around all the time and you're messing with random variables in your lifts like I do. I do it for fun and to experiment because I'm a fun experimental guy, okay? But at the end of the day, I recommend that you keep your workouts the same and only change them once every few months. Make sure you have a decent program set up for yourself, and you'll definitely make progress even during the cut. I think my hamstrings are kind of a weak point, but not nearly as bad as my quads. I'm gonna put my quads first, or not first, but before my hamstrings from now on. Obviously, there's certain caveats, like my quads become a strong point that I've fixed. Now time to work on the hamstrings. Whatever's weakest after that. And, you know, I train everything, but I'd say in order of probably, generally speaking, weakest point in my body to strongest. Stuff that needs more work, you're gonna put first. I'd recommend doing all your workouts that way. Now, the only issue I struggle with is keeping the workouts the same every time. A lot of times I tend to swap them for convenience. As long as you're training at failure, it doesn't really matter too much. The only issue with swapping your movements all the time is you're changing the variable of whatever task you're doing. So let's say I do leg extensions and then hamstring curls normally, and then all of a sudden I swap the order, right? If I PR and hamstring curls, it's kind of like, is it just because I put it first, or is it because I actually got stronger and stimulus from last week or last session was enough to get me stronger? It's all about keeping variables the same so you can actually identify what's working and what's not. So here I did a fairly long and drawn out set of hamstring curls because I was like, man, if 220 felt that heavy, then surely 170 would also still feel heavy. But it actually felt really manageable to the point where I was thinking to myself, how can I make this feel a little bit more difficult, right? Because I'm already too deep in the set at this point to be like, okay, let me change the weight again to make it slightly heavier. 180 probably would have been the best weight to choose. But at the end of the day, like, you're not going to do the perfect weight for every single set, especially if you're switching variables like I mentioned earlier and playing guesswork. So my point is, don't be, all upset if you didn't get a solid set of 5 and, the perfect optimal motor unit recruitment. Just be like, you know what? Maybe I got slightly more fatigue. Not a big deal. I'll still progress next week. All right, you guys probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but the ground here, not the whole ground, but just in this one spot, is literally like fluffy. I don't know what that's all about, but it's actually really awesome. I'm happy with that. I think it's meant for like box jumps and stuff like that for a softer landing. It's freaking awesome. I wish that my house had this. Anyway, let's go. Legs almost always look worse with a pump. We'll see what we're working with here. All right, so I have you guys for like 5 minutes to say whatever I want.
Hey, Freak Show! You're going nowhere! I got you for 3 minutes! 3 minutes of playtime!
Let's think. What will I say? Well, first off, I noticed that my legs look kind of big while I'm just walking around, which is cool. I always wanted that as a natty guy. My biggest fear was, will I look big doing normal things? And that might sound weird because it's like, why are you afraid of not having something awesome? That's just kind of dumb. But I'm like, okay, if I'm putting all this work in and I'm spending all this time trying to get as big as possible and thinking and trying to understand what to do, I better reap a reward that I think is worthy. And to me, what would make it all worth it would be, do I look big doing normal things? Do I look muscular doing normal things? And I think I'm at the point where I do look muscular while I'm just like walking around, while I'm just chilling, while I'm wearing maybe even like a jacket or something. People could probably tell that I work out. Now, I'm not saying that I look like freaking the Incredible Hulk by any means, but that's the thing everybody should strive toward, right? You're never going to look like the Incredible Hulk, but you should try. In the same way, there's that saying that says, aim for the moon, but you reach the stars, right? Or whatever, I don't know.
Go, you know the thing.
It probably could go the other way, but I would rather aim for the moon because the moon is objectively cooler than a star. You could have a house on it. You can have a family on it. I don't know, like whatever. Anyway, that was severely off topic. I want to talk about the main point of the video. It's probably what you clicked on the title for. How to make high protein burritos at home. All right, enough kidding. I gotta lock in. How to get big legs. My legs were a significant weak point of my physique, just like my chest was. Both are improving at a rapid pace. My bust measurement has increased several inches in a very short time span, under a year, which is pretty crazy considering I've been training for about 5 years total already. Maybe even a little longer at this point, geez. But legs increased also, more so recomped, because I remember my first bulk to 186 where I turbo bulked, got to like probably 30% body fat. It was ridiculous, maybe even more to be honest. I put on a lot of muscle though, and I got my legs up to like 24 inches. But obviously, that is an overweight measurement, right? That's a measurement that includes a lot of fat. So now my legs are also 24 inches, but the thing is, they are a much leaner 24 inches than they were then. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time I get to my peak cut weight, which is probably going to be in the low 150s, my arm measurement is probably going to be a very similar measurement to what it was before. It's probably going to be like 16-ish, and it's going to look much better at 16. As a natural, you're probably not going to be improving your measurements by like, 3-4 inches, unless you're a total beginner. You're probably going to be looking for more so, okay, from bulk to bulk, from cut to cut, am I leaner than I was last time, right? Do I have a more sharp, more cut, more detailed appearance? Is the muscle more pronounced? That means, okay, I actually gained muscle, right? If you're, 10 pounds heavier and you got leaner, you're probably a beginner. If you are the same weight but leaner, you're probably, intermediate, but you just know how to train really well. So there's levels to it, right? Not everybody's going to see the same pace of results, right? If you're a beginner watching this, you could massively benefit from some of these tips. But most of the tips I dropped were kind of earlier on in the video, just casually going through my leg day and explaining a little bit why I do what I do. But I just take a low fatigue approach, and I try to make sure, okay, I'm just putting myself over the edge enough to get progressive overload, right? I do 1 to 2 sets for everything, and a lot of people go, well, that's not enough volume, or, oh, are you a power lifter? You do low reps. But the reality is, man, all we're looking for is progressive overload. Beyond the initial neurological adaptations that you get from a given exercise, just learning the skill of the exercise, the gains after that come from muscle. Unless you're gaining a ton of additional body weight, then you could say, well, the fat helps you to move extra mass, so therefore you're lifting more weight because you're, over bulking or whatever. But if I'm, 170 pounds, and 6 months later I'm still 170 pounds, but I'm still doing the same lifts that I already learned, chances are it's no longer neurological adaptations, but it's actual muscle tissue. Lastly, progressive overload is feedback that the training you're doing is working. So don't try to ego lift your way into gains, but don't be afraid to put some more weight on the bar or the machine. Put the pin on the stack lower. If you guys have any questions about what I said, feel free to comment. And if you have questions about other stuff, I might know the answer. Feel free to comment. All right, unless there's something I'm forgetting, I think that's it for posing. Quick little leg flex, because that's what we hit today. All right, there's the thumbnail. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, do all the 3 things that every YouTuber asks you to do. Take care.